to the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana. Now, listen to this. Now, for today's episode, we are going to the very core of who we are and how we show up in the world, the psychology of identity and mindful communication. Oh, whatever is your role, whether you are an artist, you're a professional, or you are someone who is just navigating everyday relationships, whether in your workplace or in your personal life, the way we define ourselves, it deeply impacts how we connect with others. Yes, that is true. And to guide us through this conversation, we have Dr. Albert Charles Bramante, who is a rare triple threat, spent over 20 years as a talent agent in the entertainment industry, while also holding a PhD in psychology and certification in NLP and hypnosis. Well, with this background and experiences and observations, he understands the pressure of performing at the highest level. But more importantly, he knows how to help people break through fear, imposter syndrome, and also self sabotaging patterns. So, listeners, let me tell you that this is going to be a conversation about identity, mindset, and how mindful communication can either strengthen or erode our sense of self. So, let's quickly dive in. So, Dr. Albert, welcome to the show, and I'm really honored, as always, to have you with us.
I really appreciate you having me on your Sen. I really like having conversations, and I'm really glad to be on part of this podcast.
Definitely. Um, Dr. Albert, of course, with your context of work, why do you think that identity, um I mean, why does it matter? I mean, how do you define identity? I mean, is this something that we consciously choose, or does it evolve more from the external labels, the role, the titles, our social circles, and the expectations out there?
Well, our identity is really kind of a combination of different things. It is really a lot of times formed by how others see us and the roles that we play. And what's interesting about identity, at least in America and the States, if you ask people like to tell me who you are, the first thing that they're gonna go to is their job. Like, I am this or I'm that. I'm an accountant. I'm a teacher. I'm a, you know, salesman. I'm a businessman. And we're much more than that. That's what a lot of times we get that confused and we think, okay, who we are is what we do, but it's like so much more than what we are. Our identity is like our, ethnic heritage, our cultural heritage, our religion, our physicality, our eye color, hair color, height, weight, um, our political affiliations, our family, place in a family, whether we're a son, daughter, mother, father, grandparent, husband, wife, those are part of our identity, and that makes it up as a whole. Now, again, a lot of times it is we get our first inkling, uh, our identity from our parents, from our childhood upbringing. That's usually the first piece of the puzzle that we get from our identity. And so that is definitely a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
And uh, and this is something which I've also personally realized in the past few years, um, especially with, of course, with a lot of life changing events, to understand who exactly am I, because I also used to believe that my sense of self or my identity is completely associate with the work I'm doing, how much I'm earning, how other people, whether my colleagues, my superiors, my friends, relatives, my family, what do they think about me? But then also, there is definitely, I think it's the most fundamental, chunk of that identity, that it comes from our childhood, our parents. Yeah, they definitely define us. They bring us to the earth. So yeah, definitely it is connected with them.
Absolutely. And our ancestry, our lineage, our family lineage, all that plays a role too.
Definitely. And uh, you have, with your line of work, um, how does the pressure to be liked or demanded or accepted, how can it distort someone's identity? Because uh, many of us, we are unconsciously like people pleasers. We don't want to say no. We want to be someone, whom everyone can find
Right.
good, pleasant, and always and then the best of their thoughts. So what do you think about this?
Well, absolutely. We are at the core of our being people pleasers. And at the end of the day, that's who we are and that's what we are. And a lot of times we can sometimes get lost in that, and that we if we're trying to appease somebody else, our
Mhm.
identity we can change and inadvertently change our identity to fit into someone else's narrative, but that's not authentic at the end of the day,
Mm.
because we're trying to mold in somebody else. And I'm going to quote a U.S. based author. I may be misquoting it a little bit, but Stephen Covey, who wrote the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People,
Mhm.
which was a really um, popular book in the '90s, for itself, and still is today. It's like a timeless book. But one of the quotes that he said, that one of the biggest ways to lose our identity is to please other people
Mm.
and try to be, and someone that other people want us to be, not our true selves. And so maybe with people pleasing, what we're they are the end of the day, what people pleasers are often very scared of or very
Mm.
afraid of losing relationships,
Yeah.
losing partnerships. And so what winds up happening in this context is we become just so much afraid of things, of losing other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that creates, it creates whirlwinds of thoughts, and it's like, Sophie's choice, that if we don't say yes, then this is going to happen, and if I say no, this is going to happen. I just don't want to go ahead and make them feel bad about me. um
Absolutely, and that's what starts to happen. We start to adapt on things.
Mm.
We
Yeah.
start to, just become someone we're not, a
Yeah.
and therefore, we wind up losing our identity, and at the end of the day, the cycle of people pleasing is gonna leave us unfulfilled and unhappy, because, again, we're not being true to ourselves, and we're really not being authentic for others, and that other people will see right through us.
Yeah, true. I mean, energy cannot be faked. I mean, you cannot just uh, masquerade your energy and, ex. Uh, I mean, exude authenticity with some facade in there. That is true.
Right. Of course.
And Dr. Albert, also I would like to bring the other end of, other side of this discussion now, because you uh, have coached performers. Now, sometimes, whether it's uh, in workplaces or in events, or somewhere, sometimes it is also um, you know uh, fruitful in some or the other way to be intentionally um, not be authentic, not be straightforward, because we don't want to, you know be completely unfiltered. uh, do you think that is something to be mindful about, or I mean, what's your opinion on this?
Well, I mean, we should be unfiltered because that's who we are. If it's part of our true being, what we shouldn't be filtering that. Um, Now we can certain modify our communication to fit the circumstance we're in. Like I have a yeah, I might have a like I'll use myself as an example. I have a really good sense of humor. I like to joke. And but at the same time, if I'm in a teaching moment, I may not there may not be an opportunity for me to be funny, but I'm still gonna put myself in each situation. Even though I may be wearing different hats and different roles, I'm still gonna be myself. And that's the whole thing about being authentic and
Mm.
authenticity.
Yeah, and that brings to uh, the second part of this conversation about mindful communication. Now, it sounds ideal, but in reality, strong emotions can take over. And now, especially in the modern age, when we are seeing most of our reactions, our opinions, um, kind of flowing through multiple channels digitally. What's one practical way, Dr. Albert, that people can ground themselves before they react?
Well, the important thing, and this is going to sound, very easy, and it really is, but it's hard, sometimes hard to practice. Take a deep
Mm-hmm.
breath in before you respond. Do some deep breathing before you respond because a lot of times when somebody says something to us or, we're triggered, we have a tendency to react very fast
Mm-hmm.
and respond too fast. So what we need to do is sometimes take a deep breath in and just and exhale at some point. So just taking a deep breath in, and sometimes even if it might mean taking a walk, just take a 5 or 10 minute walk, and then because when you calm down from the emotional intensity, you're more like that. That's when logic is gonna kick in, and that's when you're gonna respond more effectively and probably more aligned to the way you wanted to respond.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is such an important, such a relevant I should say practice that is much needed right now because it's okay to let your emotions flow, but I think I believe that sometimes emotions that do take the best out of us. I mean, they do take a toll on us, and we tend to quote unquote overreact or sometimes misjudge, or a lot of misunderstandings can arise out of that.
Absolutely, there could be a whole host of understanding misunderstandings that can come out, and a lot of time, I mean, the whole idea of the impact or misunderstanding, because a lot of times we'll get so emotionally upset at
Mm,
what we thought somebody said, not what they
mm,
actually said, because what a misunderstanding is, we have a story about what somebody else said or how somebody else responded. And what's really happening is we're not looking at what really happened. And sometimes
mm,
we might find that the person that we're in conflict with or that we think we're in disagreement with, we're actually more in agreement than anything. We just have
mm,
heard it differently. And therefore, that's why it's really important to use that long pause or that deep breath or even just that quick walk around the town just so you can calm yourself down a bit.
mm. And also, you often teach about breaking self-sabotaging patterns, Dr. Albert.
Mhm.
So, uh, how do we first even recognize or realize that we are trapped in one, and how do we begin to dismantle it?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the important thing is the first step is again the mindfulness comes in because most of the people when you're in the pattern of self sabotage, you don't really consciously realize what's happening at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That you're being your own worst enemy. Sometimes it takes a coach or another person to kind of gently, but in a tough love format, really tell you or communicate to you, look, this is what you may be doing, and this is what might be happening. So by taking that no nonsense approach and having that mindfulness and that attention seeking thing, well, maybe down the line we can become aware and become again mindful of what we're doing, and then we can start changing.
Yeah. And I think it's very empowering. I mean, if we look at the bright side, because we know that we are in control. Emotions on are not, or words are not controlling us, but we are controlling them. And we also need to acknowledge that not every barrier is internal. So I really love that.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, and then now, any you know practice like breath work. I mean, obviously, that one, it always is the most immediate one, and one of the easiest, but sometimes often overlooked part, because that is something that is available to every one of us. But any other techniques that you teach, especially the performers, when it comes to self uh, um, identifying self-sabotaging patterns or dismantling them?
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is with dismantling them is just being aware of it, and therefore changing how you communicate to yourself. So
Mm.
the one thing that very often you might hear someone who engages in behaviors, they'll beat themselves up or they'll minimize their achievements or come up with excuses that even why they did well, like, oh, that test was too easy, or they liked me, that's why they gave me the job. And so they wind up minimizing their achievements rather than maximizing what can happen. And that's a whole host of things that can occur.
Hmm. Hmm. And then how does NLP and hypnosis help in this process, Dr. Albert?
Well, I'm glad you asked that as well. It really helps with subconscious or unconscious belief, things that are happening behind the scenes that we're not aware of. So it could be by, NLP uses a lot of language patterns. So a lot of language, both the language, not only the language that we use in communication, like you and I are doing, but also our internal communication. What we're
Mhm.
what we're communicating to ourselves, our self talk, and a lot of times, even simple, like, phrases and changes, like the word "yet." It's a three-letter word, but it's extremely powerful, an immensely powerful three-letter word, "yet." So, if someone says, "Well, I haven't, made 6 figures." Well, what you could say is, "No, you haven't made 6 figures yet." Or, "I haven't written a book yet." Well, no, you haven't written a book yet. So, when we put the word "yet" starts to signify a growth mindset. It starts changing in neurology, and that's what really NLP is, neuro linguistic programming, is using language and communication to kind of and to rewire our nervous system and our neurology. So by using the field of possibilities, by saying, "Okay, I haven't written a book yet," or "I haven't made 6 figures yet." Just a three-letter word at the end of that sentence opens up a whole host of possibilities.
Wow. I think that is something we often miss out. That the words, often we are conscious in speaking to other people, but then sometimes we are too much of harsh of a critic to ourselves,
Yeah,
too much judgmental.
and I'll also add the fact of gratitude, because another word that we can maybe substitute instead of saying "I have to do something," what we can substitute is "I get to do something." So a lot of people say, "Oh, I have to go to work tomorrow." No, you get to go to work tomorrow, because a lot of people may not have a job to go to.
Yeah.
And you're doing what you love to do. You get to do this. Or it's like, I got to go work out. I have to go work out. No, you get to work out. And
Mm,
when you say the word get to, it makes it more empowering.
true. That is true. That is true. That's a really powerful reframe. Really powerful reframe, because Sometimes it definitely helps us look at the other, the brighter side, that what we are having, someone may not have that at all. Maybe the food, the water, the house, family, friend, partner, joy. Hmm. Great. So, Dr. Albert, if once again listeners they would like to explore more about the ways that you coach high level performers, achievers through NLP hypnosis and other techniques as well, what would be the best way?
So the best way would be to, go to my website, albertbramante.com. You could also connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to uh, work with you.
Awesome. Great. And thank you so much, Dr. Bramante, because this is definitely such a complex topic, but you really helped us unpack it with a lot of clarity in there. Um, and I believe that identity isn't just who think we are. It's definitely a living, breathing thing that we shape every day through our thoughts, habits, and the way we connect with others and ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, thank you. And to all the listeners out there, remember that mindfulness isn't about perfection, it is about creating more awareness and presence in the moment. So, if you found value in today's episode, please share it with your friend or loved one. Until then, this is Sana, and you have been listening to the Mindful Living podcast. Thank you.